and are able to move your business forward. So welcome to this week's webinar. We're excited about this. This is step number 3 in Dani's 7-step system. And on your screen, you should be able to find a chat box. We'd love to have you say hi. There's also a question box in there. If you have any questions throughout the event, please just pop in there and ask a question. I'll be getting to those at the end. I'm always excited to take a look at all the folks that have questions for us and what those questions might be. Thanks for joining us again. And I'm looking at it looks like the question box is actually the chat box, so I'm not sure how that's working. This is obviously a new system for us, and we are excited about this because it's supposedly much more reliable than our previous system, and so we're very, very excited about moving this thing forward and getting us, giving you guys quality presentations every single week. And this is something we're going to be doing a lot of over the next few months, and we hope to do these almost every single week. It doesn't actually happen that way, but it is something we're going to do fairly often. So make sure you're staying plugged into everything that's going on, and then be keeping an eye on your inbox. Take a look at all the stuff that's happening over in Project 1000, which is our Facebook group. If you're not yet familiar with Project 1000, just go on over to Facebook, search for Smarter Networker Project 1000, and join us over there. We've got about 12,000 people now that are, having this great conversation about how do you apply Dani Johnson's training to your home-based business. And it's really a critical conversation because so many people get stuck with, and at some point in their business, it's pretty normal. And so what we want to be able to do with Smarter Networker is provide that bit of information for you that you can use right at the moment that you need it. And so that's what Smarter Networker is all about, is giving you the quality training that is very, very proven. This isn't guesswork. This isn't something that we're hoping that it works and having you try it out for us. This is like 25 to 30 years of track record of success. And not just for Dani Johnson either, but for the thousands and really the tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people that she has trained over the years and the successes that they've had. So this is definitely not on trial. This is a very, very proven system, and so we want to share with you all the details we can. Thanks everybody who's jumping in and saying hi in the question box. That's just as good as in the chat box. If you want to go on over there, that's great. And we will be answering questions. So make sure that throughout the afternoon today, if you have a question, just pop them in there, and we'll review those in just a few minutes as we wrap up our event in about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so, something like that. We should be done within the hour, and we're hoping to get you plugged into some great information about how to do good presentations. And if you've missed this is number 5 of our series. We did 2 kind of overview webinars to kind of give you an idea of what Dani's system is all about. Then we did another one that actually went through all 7 steps of the system in a real high-level overview of what each one is, so you can kind of see the flow of how you should be taking a prospect from someone that you don't even know yet all the way through a duplicated leader who's independently out building their business. And so we love this series because it gives people some structure for their business. It allows them to see where they might need some support in their business. Maybe you've got most of a good system in place, but you have a couple of pieces that are missing. And this is a great way to kind of figure that out. The other thing is, if you have a system that's totally working great, your company, maybe a few companies out there actually have good business building systems. Not all of them for sure, but some of them do. So if you're blessed to be in a company that has a good system, then this is not about changing that system. This is about giving you skills to really excel at the system that you have. So please don't ever think we're trying to get you to do something different. That's not our goal. Our goal is to help you be great at your business. If you do not have a system for your business, maybe you don't have good leadership, maybe you're kind of feel like you're an orphan in the industry, which so many people do, this is that system for you. That you want to use Dani's system. It's incredibly powerful. It's the system that I used when I was building business with Dani 23 years ago now. Dani and I met when I was struggling with a traditional business, a bicycle shop in Northern California. that was actually doing really well in a lot of ways. Lots of sales, well over $1 million of revenue every year. But the reality was that we just weren't keeping much of that money at the end of the day. In fact, we were investing more and more money every single year into that business. And so we found ourselves in a bad financial position. Even though our business was in some ways thriving, we weren't making money, and that was a negative thing. So I started looking around for a home business opportunity or some other way. I had no idea what I was looking for. I just needed to make more money to take some load off the business and to help improve my financial situation. And that's when I got a chance to meet Dani. And she actually owned a company at that time. She later sold that company. And but I got a chance to my very first business presentation was a Dani Johnson business presentation. And of course I got excited. I wanted to get started. And what she said to me was pretty interesting. She said, "We'd love to have you on board, Brian, but the reality is we just don't want any failures in our business." And it really took me back. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She wanted to explain that it's critical. In fact, you cannot even join this business if you don't get training, because there are some things in our industry that are so unique and so different than anywhere else in the world. And so much of the skills that we personally have as we come into this business are very transportable into this business. So if you've had some kind of corporate position or a corporate job, if you've gone to college or high school or any education, if you've been dealt with people in any way in commerce, you have skills that are going to apply to this. If you've raised a family, if you've been focused on that, that's amazing skill for what we do in our business. But there's definitely some things about what we do that are unique, and that is basically that we are working with a team of volunteers. There's nobody out there that says you must get up out of bed and go to work every day in your home business. It's fully optional every single day. So how do you guide and lead a team of volunteers? And so that skill is very unique. And so this is what Dani was talking about. Not only that, but there's many other things that are kind of different about home business that in traditional business. And so she really went in and talked a lot about during the training part being so important. And so I went to a First Steps to Success. I came out of there, applied a lot of those skills to my traditional business, had some good improved success over there. But then now I'm part of this new home business, and I'm happy to say that my first month I was able to make over $2,000 in just about 10 hours, piecing together a little bit here and there based on this little bit of skill that I learned in that first training. And I went on. I wish I could say my career was a rocket ship to the top. It definitely was not. We had lots of ups and downs for the first year. A lot of great months, a lot of zeros, but it was all over the map, very emotional, roller coaster. Maybe you can relate to this. And just a lot of doubt, a lot of elation when we had good success, but also tons of doubt when we had failure. And so that was probably the most important year, because it really allowed me to learn this business, all aspects of it. And because I had a great support team around me, because I had good training, because I was plugged in and engaged, I was able to get through that roller coaster and made about $12,000 my first year. My second year, about $25,000. My third year is when things really exploded. That's when we started really recruiting people that were better than us, that already came to the table with a ton of great skill. They saw a system, a program, they put it into action, and they went out and made sometimes 3, 4, 5, 10 times as much money as I had made my first year. We had one woman, she came in and made $125,000 her first year just by following the system that we had built, that Dani had built. We had another lady made $75,000, a brand new single mom. She had just had a baby. She was, a single mom in a really desperate situation. She followed directions. She stuck it out, and she made $75 grand her first year. Our business grew to almost $300,000 in sales every month, and that went on for years and years, and just really got a chance to experience the benefits of this industry. The true residual income that our industry talks about so often but rarely delivers. It is possible, but you've got to know how to go build it properly so that actually happens. It doesn't, and this industry can easily consume your entire life. 80 and 100-hour work weeks are a normal thing in this business, and that is not what the goal of this is. And so we want to actually show you through this training seminar or training series how to build a business where you can work 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, even when your business gets big, and be able to really drive it. And that is Dani Johnson's system. Her system is all about building balanced success, and not just you being a rock star, superstar, and go out and do amazing things, and no one else can do what you do. So it's all about duplication. It's all about a system. It's all about, you know, moving people up and into leadership. I mean, all those kinds of things. And so today's topic about doing a presentation is really a critical one. And we're going to dive into this here real quick. I want to kind of throw up this this screen here for you. This is the overall picture of Dani's system right here. So expose, involve, and upgrade. So you're exposing people to your products and your business opportunity, and then you're getting them involved. Now, involvement looks like using your products. That's one way to be involved. Plugging into the free training and the conference calls and the Facebook groups and, you know, all the things, the Saturday trainings and the big events and all that stuff. That's all involvement. And what it leads to is upgrade. Now, what that means, the first thing that gets upgraded is someone's mindset, meaning that they're not going to jump in necessarily and buy your top package tomorrow and go out and do amazing things. Some will do that, but most people, they need to kind of get their head around what they're about to go do and what it means. And so when they change their mindset, in the sense that they start seeing the potential of your business, they start seeing the excitement, the power of it, and they start believing that they can do it. Those things happen through involvement, first and foremost, and then that changes their activity. They start doing things like showing up at meetings, like using the products every single day, like talking to their friends. They are doing things that are different, and then they actually then will upgrade their activity level, which upgrades their position in the company, and then you start seeing some leadership development. So that is kind of how that whole thing works. But involvement is really the core thing about that you need to be staying focused on. Now, the 7 steps are here: exposing your business, letting people know about it. There's a million ways to do that. We touch on that in our Expose webinar. But in a lot of other ways, we're plugging in at Project 1000. We're really heavy on flyers right now. We're going to start a whole new flyer frenzy program next week, so stay tuned for that. This is such a powerful way to get people started in your business. Initial contact. This particular step is so key to your overall success throughout this whole thing. The first impression that you make on a new person can make or break that relationship, and so in our initial contact webinar, we really dive into that. It's such a critical thing. Then presentation, that's what we're talking about today, how to do a good presentation that's going to give you good success. We have a number of topics we're going to be touching on throughout the next 30 minutes or so. Then closing. This will be next week's webinar, but also this is something that should be really easy. If you do your first 3 steps properly, closing becomes very simple and easy. And we're going to talk a lot about that actually today as well. But because there's several things you can do during your presentation, actually before and during your presentation, that can make your close simple. Then we can talk about on-the-job training. This is where you're starting to develop leadership. You're starting to find out who's actually going to go work with you. Create that duplication, meaning that they're out there doing this business with or without you. Duplication is a funny thing. It's a good and bad. It's a two-edged sword. So basically, duplication is realizing that your team, whether that's one person or 10,000 people, are going to do what you do. And that can be really great or really bad. And so if you are pretending to do your business and giving it lots of talk, but not actually going out there and talking to new people, that's what your team's going to do. And they're going to be telling you, oh yeah, we're doing it, but the results are going to show that they're really not. And so it's really important that you stay focused on the things that make you money, which is recruiting and selling your product. And so that's what's going to duplicate in your business. And then also ultimately leadership development, where people are actually exceeding your ability, like going past you in the comp plan, which is such a beautiful thing, because your check goes crazy as well. And it also motivates you to get better and keep moving. But leadership development is when your team members do this business with or without you. You can completely fail. You can do something really stupid, and your team will not be affected by that. That's where duplication, leadership development comes into place. So it's a pretty fun thing that happens at some point in your business. So today we're going to talk about presentations, and what I want to do here is really talk about a couple of things that I've experienced in my career. And I want to share a little bit of a story with you as we get started here. When I first got started in this business, I was absolutely terrified of doing presentations. This was like something that would really get me upset. I was good at talking to people in a retail setting in my bicycle shop. They were walking into my store. They were asking me questions. It was an interesting relationship that you don't find elsewhere in the world too often. But I was the expert in that case, and they were coming to me for advice and information and all that stuff. So it was a pretty easy conversation to have. When you turn the table and you become a salesperson, you're going out and recruiting people that may or may not want what you have yet. It changes the dynamic quite a bit. And so part of that is doing presentations. And I'll tell you a little secret. When I actually went to junior college, a 2-year school, for 6 years and never got my degree ever, and to this day. And the only one class that I had not taken was a public speaking class, and which was speech class. And this is a true story. I mean, there's a lot going on in my life at that time. I was racing bicycles very seriously, and so an opportunity would come up for me to go race my bike in Europe, and I'd disappear for a few months, and that would blow out another semester. Or I'd get to go to the Olympic Training Center, for example, and that would blow out a whole nother semester. And it's just like any excuse, I would quit school and go do something else. So that's why it took me so long. But the reality was I never completed my 2-year AA degree because of my inability to take that speech class. So then my first day when I get started with Dani Johnson, she's telling me, she's like, Brian, you're going to be in front of this room very soon. And I turned white, got cold, and she said, so you better learn this presentation. So I'll tell you, for the next couple of weeks, I got to see like 3 or 4 presentations. Every single time I was taking notes. I was like writing down the outline. I was figuring out what people said. I was learning the stories because I knew that someday I was going to be up there. And within 2 weeks of me getting started in this business, I was doing a presentation in front of Dani Johnson and her people in her office. It was so crazy, like stressful. And I'll tell you, my first presentation, we had a front half and a back half of the presentation. The front half was about the products and the company. The back half was about the compensation plan and training. And it took me about 3 minutes to do a 10-minute, a 15-minute presentation. It was like I talked 100 miles an hour. I didn't breathe through the whole thing. In fact, that was a bad habit that I had for a long time. But I got to the point where I got comfortable enough where I could do the presentation. It really became from repetition. It came from doing it over and over again and being comfortable. And it got to the point where, like, at one point in our business, we had, for about 2 years, 2.5 years, we had offices. And we were actually doing 8 business presentations per week. Every single day, we would do one except for Sunday. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we did 2, one at 1 o'clock, one at 7:30. And so we were doing 8 business presentations a week plus a Saturday training. And our goal was to have 10 people in every one of those trainings. So we were doing a lot of business presentations, which was great because we had about 6 or 7 people that did the presentations in our team, in our office, that are all working together. And every one of us basically had the entire presentation down verbatim. We told the same exact stories. We told the same exact jokes. We told everything was identical. We could get the thing down to exactly 28 minutes. And if a testimonial went long, maybe 31 minutes, something like that. But it was, short, sweet, to the point, very, very effective. And that's the outline we're going to give you a little bit later on today. But it got to the point, though, that one of the things I want to talk about is, one of the things I was promoting this webinar is how to get a yes before they ever sit down in the presentation. So we're going to be talking about that in just a second. We're going to give you Dani Johnson's outline for her presentation. I'll give you another resource for that as well. I'll show you how to double your closing rate, and that's about what we're going to talk about here in just a second. We're going to talk about the perfect length presentation, and everybody's got a little bit different take on that, but we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about differences between one-on-one presentations, group presentations, small group presentations, online, types things, that kind of thing. And we're going to talk about facts tell and stories sell. And we're going to talk to you about why your comp plan and your product does not matter to your success. And a lot of people freak out about that because the reason you guys started in your business was because you believed in that product, and that's awesome. But the reality is that it's really not all that important to your overall success, and we'll make that case for you in just a second. But I want to talk to you a little bit about presentations. And you know, as I started working in this business, like I said, we were doing literally sometimes hundreds of presentations a month. Not only were we doing those 7 or 8 presentations a week, but we were also doing home presentations on Monday and Wednesday, and sometimes Friday night, and sometimes over the weekends. We were teaching people how to do them. We were doing conference calls, and we were doing lots and lots of presentations, talking to thousands of people every month. And it got to the point where you got really comfortable at it, and that was a good thing and a bad thing, because one little hint I want to give you, you can write this down, is that a perfect presentation does not give you perfect results. People need to be able to connect with you, and that's the most important thing you can do with any presentation, because here's the thing, people are buying you. They're not buying your product, they're not buying your comp plan, they're not buying the company, they're not buying somebody else's success. They are buying you, because the reality is you are going to be the person that's going to guide them through their business and is going to be taking them through all that. And so they need to know that you are on their side. They need to trust you, and you need to be able to build relationships. And so I want to show you a couple of pictures I found just recently about some presentations. I later, after my career in the field, which, by the way, we still collect a nice check from a business that we built 23 years ago. We built a customer base that is still to this day paying us money, even though we haven't touched our business in probably 15 years. We're still getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. In fact, our last check this last month was bigger than the month before, which is shocking. But it's amazing what happens in this business. But I later became the corporate vice president for the company that we were working with. I joined the corporate side of the company. I became the vice president of the international markets, and I built business around the world in lots and lots of exotic places. I want to show you a couple of pictures like this, because this is such a critical component of doing a good presentation. It's not about you don't have to be the expert. Number one, you are the expert because you know slightly more than the person you're talking to, but you don't have to know every single thing. You really don't. And so don't worry about practicing everything by knowing all the facts and figures and the details and the ingredients and all that stuff before you do your presentation. Not necessary. The best presentations are usually done by new people who maybe it's their second or third or fourth presentation. They're nervous, they're like sweating, they're stuttering, they're messing up their words, they're getting off track. That is so great, because what happens is the person sitting in the seat is saying, I can do this. If this person can do it and have success, I can do this. That's what you want people saying when they're in the seat. So I want to show you a couple of pictures just for a second and show you some of the groups that, creating a connection with people is so important. This is a presentation, a group of people that I did a presentation for in Abu Dhabi, which is about 3 hours outside of Dubai. And I did a lot of business over in the Middle East. I was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, Qatar, a number of places over there. And it was pretty interesting because the culture is so radically different that how do you connect with those people when they're so different? Like there was times when we did a meeting in Saudi Arabia. I didn't do this particular meeting, but the meeting was split in two by a curtain, and the women were on one side and the men were on the other side. And so you had to stand right in front of the curtain and speak to two groups of people. And the culture that, like how men and women are over there is so different. It's very, very unique. But you have to be able to respect all that. But it's not hard to build a relationship with these people, with any people at all. And so this is another meeting we did in the Philippines. Did a lot of trips to the Philippines, 25, 30 trips to the Philippines. Been all over the Philippines, and some of the greatest people on the planet. Super warm, friendly, hardworking, industrious people, and their culture is all very, very different than ours. And their English is their second language, as it is in the Middle East, and so it's something that you need to take in consideration. Did a lot of meetings in Japan, for example, where they don't even speak English very much at all. So you've got to be able to handle being able to create a connection with people even in other languages. And so what I'm getting to on this is that you can build a relationship with your audience very quickly and easy. And this is a key componentry of a successful presentation. This particular presentation I just threw up on the screen was one I did in Papua New Guinea, where we had, in this room, there was over 400 people altogether. You can't see everybody, but it goes pretty wide here, but there was over 400 people here who literally live in grass huts, many of them. There's 800 different languages spoken in Papua New Guinea. And I'm gonna do a quick little thing here. I want to show you something. This person right here, I'm going to show you her in the next picture. She is just an amazing lady. That she was the leader of this whole organization, this whole group of people. This is her husband right here. You can see he's not real happy about being there, but he actually was a really good guy. He was very high up in the Papua New Guinea government, and very, very influential person, as was this woman back here. Now the next picture is something I want to share with you. It's pretty awesome. Let me get out of that. All right, let's see here. How do I undo this here? Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this next picture, this particular person I just pointed out over here is right here. And you can see the influence she has on her community and everything, but you can also see that it would be difficult for most people to build relationships with this. But because of the training that I got from Dani Johnson, there's lots of ways to build bridges with people, no matter what the differences are that you might have with that person. And the differences actually can be a really neat binding, like a bonding situation for you as well. So let me erase all that yellow stuff. Here we go. All right, so let's talk about different types of presentations, and they might not all be big presentations, which is great. They might be smaller presentations, but if you look over here on this slide, we've got a couple of different ones, and we want to talk a lot today about live presentations. One of the premises that I did this webinar on is that I believe that many people use other people's presentations in their businesses today. It's a very common practice for people to do use other leaders, other successful people's presentations as theirs, meaning that they'll send somebody off to a video presentation that was done by a leader at some other time, or a conference call, or they'll use other people to do their presentations for them in some way, playing a video, whatever. And all of those things are great, and please, I'm not trying to say that they aren't, because they're very valuable tools, especially if you're brand new and you don't know the presentation yet, but you need to be taking notes like I was taking notes when I was working with Dani. And it's so important to do, because you will eventually need, not just like to or want to, but you will need to do a presentation with someone someday. And so we want to be talking about that today. So a live presentation can be a lot of different things. It could be a home presentation, which, by the way, in my opinion, are some of the most powerful, effective presentations. The fastest growth we ever had in our business was when we got away from those offices and we got focused in on home presentations in people's living rooms. Man, our business exploded. We went from, I don't know, about $100,000 a month in sales up to $300,000 a month in sales in just less than a year. And the reason was because we get gotten into people's homes and we're building through warm market and through a living room style presentation. So super powerful way to build business. If I was going to recommend this industry to anybody, this is how I would recommend doing it. But there's lots of other ways out there too. But a home presentation, very powerful. Whether it's products or opportunity, it doesn't matter, still super powerful. One-on-one presentation, and this is the one that's always funny to me, because if you like, let's say you're having coffee with a good friend of yours, and you're at the coffee shop and you're talking, and getting caught up with each other and seeing how things are going, and they ask you, well, what have you been doing these days? And you start talking about your business, right? Your home business, and there's products you're excited about, and the opportunity, and you're gonna do this and you can do that, and they go, wow, that sounds really awesome. I'd be interested in making some more money. Right now what happens, a lot of times people say, well, hey, why don't you go watch this presentation online, and then we'll talk about it next time, down the road somewhere. my opinion is that's a huge mistake. I would say the best thing you could do right there is to pull out a napkin and draw some circles and some arrows and things on a napkin and do your presentation right there. This is a good friend of yours. It's not just an acquaintance over the phone. And so why would you like put them into a kind of a cold market presentation system when you've got a really good connection there? Again, it's all about the connection you have with the person that you're building with. And we're going to get more into this in just a second. And then other group presentations are like, you know, hotel meetings. Some of the pictures I showed you were all in hotels. Those can be really big. I remember the first presentation we did, and we were going into a new market. We had just signed up this woman who was 9 months pregnant, 9.5 months pregnant. She had, between the time we signed her up in this first presentation, she had the baby, right? So here she is. We're like maybe less than a month into her business. She's got this brand new 2-3 week old baby with her, which one of the rules of home presentations is never let babies in because they steal the show every time. But here we were, and she's like, oh yeah, we'll have at least 100 people at this presentation. She's super aggressive. So we booked a hotel room for 100 people, and we start doing the, you know, we getting very excited and promoting this thing, and we about 10 minutes before the presentation, there's nobody there, and about 3 minutes before the presentation, 6 women show up, and that's all that ever showed up. So we had this big, huge room of 100 people, and there's only 6 people in the room. And the person that we're doing this presentation for is breastfeeding her baby. You know, it's like we broke all the rules. But I'll tell you something. What came from that one meeting was millions of dollars of sales over the next 10, 15, 20 years. In fact, we still have business today, a lot of it coming from that one meeting. So you never know, but we built a connection, and we really became friends, and we took the opportunity to make fun of ourselves. We had driven 200 and something miles to get to this meeting. It was silly, but it was like, it worked, and it was really fun. So group presentations can be really, really awesome. Conference calls, same thing. You want to be able to build a connection with the people that you're talking to by sharing some stories, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Team calls, even though you might be doing a training, one of the things I want you to think about is that every call, every time you connect with somebody, every time you talk to somebody around your business, there is a goal of that conversation, and that's to move them to that next step, to move them towards independence, to move them to increase their skill set, to promote something to them, to get that person to do their next thing, whatever that is for that person. Everybody's a little different, so maybe it's just they have to get started and do something. But maybe they're like a kind of a leader, and they need to start doing something, you know, like get up in front of the room. And so that conversation might be helping them to that next step. So you always are trying to build those connections, even up to 6 months to a year into your first business. You really don't know if somebody's going to be serious and stick it out for a year. Yeah, that's what I said. So a lot of times, you've all seen it if you've been building business for it all. People get started, they get going, and then boom, something gets them off track and they quit. And the reason is that they aren't engaged well enough in your business. They're not involved well enough. They don't have enough support. They don't believe in the vision enough. And so it's so critical to constantly be talking to people about the next thing, casting that vision for them, and not focusing on any negatives that might be happening. Oh, somebody said no. Oh, I put out 1,000 flyers and only got 2 phone calls. Oh, this happened or that happened. That's all normal parts of what we do. And it's something that is really important that we immunize our teams throughout this whole presentation system, because this is part of engagement, part of involvement. All right, so team call, online videos, all of these are different types of presentations that all use basically the same format and the same calendar. Now, here's a couple of tips. Now, we talked about getting people to say yes before they ever sit down in a meeting. So think about this. Think about either a traditional home presentation or a hotel room meeting, or really any kind of presentation, even an online conference call or something like a webinar, something like that. The one single thing that you can do that will radically improve your success is to edify, to promote, to build up either the expert that's going to be on that call doing that presentation, if there is one. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you've got somebody who they have not met yet. That's your expert, even if they're only 1 day older than they are in the business. Anybody that's unknown and has a briefcase, they're an expert, right? So, but you edify the expert, you can edify other people that are going to be at that event, even if they are not going to be presenting, even if they're not, crazy successful. There's lots of ways to edify somebody who's brand new in a business. Let's say somebody got started and they sold $300 in products at their first home presentation, right? That alone is a great story. Hey, I've got this friend Julie. We just got her started like less than a week ago. We did one presentation for her and some friends of hers. She did $300 in sales. She made over $150 in commissions in her very first couple of days. Just a great lady. I really want you to meet her. She's on her way to some big things, and you're right there with her. But I just a day or two behind her. But I want you to meet her because she's really going places, and she's an awesome lady. So would you now want to meet that person? Yeah, of course you would, because that's somebody you can relate to. They're at the same place in the business. They're literally just a week or two ahead of you, and they've already made money. That's exactly the person you want to meet. You can also edify things like information. This is really effective, especially if you're doing cold recruiting, and maybe you're talking to people on the phone that you don't know, like you're dialing leads, and you're going to take them to a video presentation or a conference call. I get this question a lot because people are concerned that their presentation has to be so good that everybody signs up. And here's a little secret. There's no perfect presentations. There doesn't exist. And unfortunately, there is no presentation in the world that can meet every single person's needs, can address every single bit of question that that individual has, or be the exact correct piece of information that's going to get them to say yes. But you can frame that presentation as if it is going to be the answer to all of their questions. And the way I've done this in the past, and a lot of people do, is like, hey, listen, it sounds like you've got a ton of questions. You guys have probably, especially if you're talking to people who are, cold market, they always have lots of questions. What is this? Is this a pyramid thing? Whatever. You say, hey, obviously you've got lots of questions, and I definitely want to handle every question that you have and give you all the information possible for you to make a good decision for yourself. Does that sound fair? Yes. Awesome. Well, here's what we've got. We put together a presentation that's going to give you a lot of information. So what I want you to do is be taking a lot of notes. The people that are going to do this presentation, it's a video presentation about 20 minutes long. These are the founders of our company. These are some of the top producers in our company. These are, the doctor that formulated our products. Whatever the person is or whoever's doing the presentation, these people and this information that you're going to get is going to answer a lot of your questions. Now, it might not answer every question, but once we get this basic stuff out of the way, then you and I can talk more about maybe some specific concerns that you have. Because I understand that you need to have a lot of information to make a good decision for yourself, and we're definitely wanting to give you that information. So let's start by you going and watching this 20-minute presentation. Here's the link. You can send it to them via email, whatever. I'll give you a call back in a few minutes, and right after you're done watching that, and we will be able to get a little deeper into what's going on with this company and how you could hit those goals that we talked about, that you have paying off your mortgage. You've got your kids going to college in the next couple of years. You want to build some income for that, secondary income. You're looking maybe for a passive income. Our company provides all of those things. This video is going to show you some of that. But also, afterwards, I want to talk about how we can specifically tailor this to fit your schedule, because I know you don't have hundreds of hours a week to work this. You might only have 5 or 10 hours a week. And after you watch this video, you can see how this is possible. But I'm really excited for you to see this information and for us to connect again, because I really think that you do have some of the talent that we're looking for in our business. But we'll find out after this video. It'll kind of tell us if we're a good fit or not. Boom, done. Right? So now you've edified the video, the information they're going to get. There's not necessarily human, live human interaction during that presentation, but now they're going to be taking notes and looking for ways to dig in and find those answers for the questions that they might have. And so they're also going to be much more willing to have a follow-up call with you. I get this all the time where people, I get people excited to go watch the video and then I never hear from them again. The reason is because you haven't given them, you haven't probably set an appointment for follow-up, number one. Number two, you haven't given them a reputation to live up to by saying, hey, I want you to write down all your questions. You and I are going to get together. I want you to hit me with every question you can think of, whatever it is, after we're done. If you've got any concerns or questions afterwards, we'll connect with them. So that kind of stuff will get people to call you back or to be available at the follow-up, and that's going to help you get better closing rates as well. And then the presentation itself can be edified, similar to what we just did, but if it's a live presentation, same kind of thing. A couple of things we want to touch on right here. Next slide. The reality here is this is true for mainly for warm market. So here's you up in the corner, and we'll like up here. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but here's you up here. And the reality is that you and the person that you know, this is your prospect, and maybe this is a friend of yours, right? But this connection right here is built on trust, especially with warm market or lukewarm market. There's trust here. They've known you for a while. They've connected with you. And if you're brand new with a cold lead, you may not have a lot of trust here. And this is why this next part is so important. By you edifying the expert, edifying the presentation, edifying the information, you're building respect for that expert, for the information, for that whatever it is. And when you got that, they're now willing to look at what you're doing. And so making sure that you've got good, that you use the trust that you have with your warm contacts and with people that you've built a bridge with, and then you send the respect over. They've already got that respect to the expert because they are the expert, and by you edifying them, you're going to build more respect for that person, and your overall success is going to be radically improved because of this. And so this is going to give you massive improvements in your closing rates. This is going to give you way better attendance on your presentations. This is going to give you people willing to say, be looking to it's a much easier close after this because they're going into the presentation with a very open mind. And not like, arms closed, like you saw the guy in Papua New Guinea, arms crossed, kind of a scowl, like, prove to me this isn't a scam. They're not there like with that attitude. They're there with, maybe this is something. Let me take a look and see if this would fit for me. So that is really an important thing when you are leading into a presentation, and the reason is that it's going to give you all the things we just talked about, and that is going to give you, like I said, a lot more, and really double or triple, maybe even 10x your show up rate, all of the numbers that happen there. I want to back up a little bit here to edify. One of the things that we used to do, and this kind of ties in with the next slide as well, what we would do is we would edify people that were in our presentation. So if we're doing a group presentation or a home presentation, a little earlier I edified a person that was brand new in the business, but we could also edify somebody who's an expert in our business, maybe somebody who's a top leader in the sales team. And we could say, hey, here's my friend Carrie. She's just doing an amazing job. She made $75,000 her first year just following directions. She's a true leader of people. She's somebody who's amazing at this industry. And I'd build her up and edify her, and then I'd pass her off. I said, you know what? She's super busy, and I think we're going to get a chance to meet her at this presentation. But if we do get a chance to meet her, I want you to be able just, get a chance to shake her hand, say hi to her. If you have a question or two for her, please feel free to ask. She's very warm and friendly, but she's also very, very successful in our business. So I've edified her. Now I bring my new prospect in, and I introduce her to Carrie. Carrie's like bigger than life to her now, and they're talking, and Carrie turns around and edifies me back to my prospect. So this is that trust, respect thing. So my prospect trusts me. I build respect for my expert. In this case, it was Carrie. She turns around and edifies me back, and now that cycle is complete. Now I've got both trust and respect of my prospect, because now Carrie said, wow, Brian is amazing. He's built a business that does $3 million in sales every year. He's just a leader in our company. He's always at the top of the charts. I mean, he's just done an amazing thing. Plus, he's really a friendly guy. That's what Carrie might be saying about me. And so now I've got both trust and respect. Also, what happens is that Carrie is now going to take that prospect and pass them off to another person that she's edified. So rather than her just saying, hey, great to meet you, I'm just too busy to talk to you, she's going to spend a little time with her, edify me, and then edify somebody else. Oh, hey, I want to introduce you to Kristen. Kristen is a powerhouse. She has been with this company. She made $65,000 just in retail sales last year, doing outrageous business. She's a master of flyers and product sales. She's a nutritionist. She's an awesome lady. And I want to introduce you to her. And she passes my prospect off to Kristen, right? This is real life stuff, by the way, that we've done many times. So what happens here is now my prospect is getting bounced around the room to all these experts, right? This is happening 10 or 15 minutes before a presentation takes place. Now I want you to think about what happens in your presentations. In your home presentation, or if you do hotel meeting presentations, or even if you're waiting for a conference call to start, what is happening? Mostly nothing. Usually what's happening is you bring somebody into a room and you're like anxious that your guests are not going to show up, or you're just nervous or whatever, and so you bring them in and you sit them down, or they go and they look at the product display, or they sit down and they just they're on their phone messing around. There's no interaction because nobody knows what to say. And so this is such an important thing, because if somebody has to wait, what would happen is when we had a successful pre-session like this, at the beginning of our presentation, somebody would go to the front of the room and have to be waving their hands. Hey, we're about to get started. Get to your seats. We got to get going. We're almost, we're almost late. Let's get moving. And you have to interrupt all this noise and these conversations and all the buzz. That was the best, because people were excited. They were like, wow, man, these people talk so good about each other. Man, it's obviously this thing is super successful. Like in their head, they've already said yes. Before they ever sat down, they're like, I want to be part of this. So this is super advanced stuff we're talking about right now, but it's simple to do, and it's all about you getting over your own personal ego stuff and just promoting other people and edifying other people and showing true interest in others is really going to give you the most amount of success. So you can go back and watch the replay on this if you didn't get all that, but it's such a powerful thing, and I want you to use that 10 or 15 minutes before a presentation when your guests are there, but you haven't started yet. Also, it's important to start on time, by the way. But the other thing is just make sure you don't waste that time, because it's the most important part of the presentation, more important than the presentation itself. So in the presentation, number one thing you want to do is smile. Smiling is absolutely the most important thing you can do. So many people get up there and they're nervous and they're scared. They're frowning and they're just really serious. That kind of makes it feel like work, you don't really want that. So being smiling and just being friendly and happy and looking people in the eyes and making connections with people while you're doing it is really important. Building Me Too's. This is where your I story comes into play. Now, I shared some of my I story early on, partly in order to build these Me Too's. I wanted you to say, you know what, wow, man, he was scared about doing presentations. Me too. And that's the connection I want us to make, because the reality is doing a good presentation is a learned skill. And so we want to make a connection to say, wow, if Brian can do it and he was scared to do it and he didn't finish college because of it, I think I can do it, and that's what we want. So anything like that, maybe maybe you're struggling with debt, maybe you're struggling with poor health, maybe you're struggling with some kind of financial issue, maybe you're struggling with something that the product or the opportunity solve for you. That's what the connection you want to make with people. So whatever your presentation is, the first thing you should be doing is sharing about a 30 seconds, it's not very long, 30 seconds, I story, 30 seconds. Not 10 minutes, 30 seconds, and sharing a few seconds about you and what you do. There are times when you'll do a longer I story, but in most presentations, super short and sweet is always best. And then the other thing here is focusing on your prospect's needs. So if you've done a good job of connecting with that person, what we call forming them, asking about all the things that are going on in their lives, finding out what their needs are, what their goals are, and what their interests are, things like that, you can now, especially in a one-on-one presentation, you can talk directly to how this compensation plan could help them earn an extra $500 a month so they could pay for, some tutoring for their kid who's having trouble in school, or whatever their need is. Maybe they're just, having so much trouble financially, they want to be able to do something that way, and so this is a way to talk directly to that. So focusing on their needs. In small groups, you can really customize a presentation to fit their exact needs. In bigger groups, you want to have an idea about what people are looking for early on. And so, you know, when you're passing people around before the thing, you're asking them about what what's going on in their life, what kind of things they're looking for, and finding their goals and their needs and their interests, and then you can kind of mention those things throughout the presentation to give you even another level of connection with the folks in the presentation. All right, facts tell, stories sell. This is critical, and we're getting close to being out of time here. We're going to be done in the next 5 or 10 minutes, but facts tell, stories sell. So many times what I see in presentations is people get up there and they start being the nutrition expert if they're in a weight loss or a nutrition company, or the skincare expert or whatever, you know, you're just like, you're getting down to the molecular level in nutrition, and you're telling all this information, and the reality is nobody cares. They don't care. What they want to know is it going to work for me? And so the best way to do that is to share stories, to be able to tell the stories like we've been doing all the way up through the edification process, through the, you know, the promotion of the event, everything. The Me Too's is I stories. Everything is stories. For example, here's a woman, Diane McGuigan. She was started off in this with Dani Johnson. She was $250,000 in debt. She paid that off within a year, and she actually earned over $250,000 in her first 3 months of a home business. She's had months where she's made over $50,000 and $60,000 in a single month because of plugging into Dani Johnson. Krista Smith, who's a millionaire today, scraped up every penny she could find to get to a Dani Johnson First Steps to Success event. She got there and she didn't even have a place to stay. It took every penny for her to get registered and get her airfare there, and she figured it out when she got there. Today she makes about $80,000 a month. She's got 15 kids, and it's just an amazing success story in so many ways. A massive, massive business success, and just doing some awesome job. Here's Dani really connecting, obviously, with someone. In this, I can't remember this entire story of this woman, but man, it's such a powerful story where Dani was able to connect with her on using her story in some of her past, and this woman's past are very similar. And so they were able to really connect in that way using Dani's story to do it. And then this last picture is the one I threw in there. A friend of mine, Michelle, and I, we've been friends forever, and actually probably 25 years now, close to it. And 23 or 24 years, something like that, and just awesome friends. But you know, just the stories are so much more powerful than the facts. Is my main point on this. Is you want to get connected with and learn those stories. Okay, let's talk about the presentation itself. Now, we've spent a lot of time on a lot of other things. The reason is all those other things are way more important than the actual presentation. However, there are some guidelines to this, and I'm going to give you in the email you're going to get in about an hour from today with the replay link and everything in it. You're going to get a link to a blog post that has all of this written out for you, so you can go get all of this from the blog. But basically, my opinion is, most cases with a normal size meeting, let's say it's 5 people or 20 people or even 100 people, but you know, a good size presentation, not necessarily one-on-one. The optimal time, in my opinion, is about 30 minutes. The reason is that I think it's because of television. Everybody's got about a 30-minute attention span. But you know, in today's day and age, it's getting shorter and shorter. So I don't think anything longer than 30 minutes is really all that effective. And you can do everything you need to do in 30 minutes. The first thing you do, welcome. Hi, my name is. Brief I story, 30 seconds. Remember, write that down, 30 seconds. You can hit all the important points of your story in 30 seconds, I guarantee you. Create those Me Too's about the things you're dissatisfied in or you were dissatisfied in your life. Your health, your job, or whatever it might have been, your time freedom, all those kinds of things. And a company introduction. You want to give some important facts, not stuff that doesn't matter, but stuff that is important, that actually shows that the company is successful, that it's stable, that you can trust this company. Because most times people either they have heard of your company and they have some preconceived negative opinion of it, or maybe not even negative, but they've got a preconceived opinion of it if it's a bigger company, older company, or they don't know the company at all, they don't like, what is this company? And so either way, you need to include some very important facts about the company. And I would personally use facts about how many people have had success in the company and how stable and solid the company is, how big the company is. But most importantly, boil it down to individual people and how they've started and had success. Again, stories in here. Product overview. You're going to hit on some, this is maybe 5 minutes long, max. And I'll tell you why in a second, but the product overview needs to be short and sweet. As great as your products are, as awesome as the ingredients are, as wonderful as they might be, most people don't care. They want to know, are they going to work for me? So how do you do that? You tell stories. So if you look here, number 4, little point number 4, product testimonials, 5 to 10 stories, a few seconds each. Hi, my name is Brian. I got started on this weight loss product. I lost 20 pounds in my first 2 months. I feel fantastic. I've got more energy than ever. Boom, done. Okay, that's how you need to coach your people to share their stories. Most of the time what happens, what happens. Oh yeah, I was really I've been really stressed out at work for a long time, and man, I just put on a lot of weight, and then my wife had a bunch of kids, and I was gaining weight when she was gaining weight, and it just was pretty soon I was heavy and fat and felt terrible, and and then I drove down to this presentation. I didn't even want to go, and I went down there, and this lady talked about these ingredients, and I didn't care. And so, you know how these stories go, right? Coach your people to get rid of all that stuff and say, hey, my name's Brian. I got started with this thing. I needed to lose weight. I was feeling terrible. I got started. I lost 20 pounds. I feel fantastic. I have tons of energy. I'm being able to do sports I wasn't able to do before. Boom, done. Okay, so 5 or 10 of those kinds of stories are way more powerful than one long drawn out story where nobody cares about the information they're delivering. Opportunity overview, again, a few minutes, 5 minutes. All of the percentages and the circles you're going to draw, and this happens, and this happens, you get paid this way, and this way, and this way, and this way, and this way, this way, and this way. Nobody remembers it. Nobody understands it. Like, wait a minute, I don't just go there and get $10 an hour or $20 an hour. No, you got to do this to get this, and then you got to do this over here. Nobody understands all those things. They don't understand the percentages. They don't understand any of it. You can put a little bit up there to kind of frame your presentation, but don't go overboard on that. Literally, like 5 minutes for the whole compensation plan at the most. The key, again, is stories. This is the second set of stories. I should have put that in my thing here. For some reason, I didn't. I put it at the end. So in this presentation, we went from opportunity compensation plan straight into training. Training being the key, because at this point in the presentation, people are saying, I don't know how to do this, and I don't, this is all over my head. This is where you want to hit them and say, listen, you're probably feeling overwhelmed. You're probably feeling like you don't know how to do this. Boom, you want to get trained, and here's how we do this. We have our Saturday training every single week. We've got video training from some of our top leaders. We've got First Steps to Success with Dani Johnson, where our leaders go to get trained, and their success is off the charts. And here's a couple of stories about that. And then you hit them with testimonials of success, money stories. And the small stories are more powerful than the big stories. So many times those small stories, I made $100 in my first 48 hours, is so much more powerful than the guy that's making 50 grand a month, because most people can't comprehend that. In fact, the people that are making 50 grand a month didn't think they would ever do that when they first signed up. So the person that's making $100 a month, that story is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than the guy that's making a ton of money. So make sure you include those small stories. But boom, lots and lots and lots of stories about training, how the training affected them, and then the success that they had after leaving their story. Closing, you can use your story as a close. You can use another person's story as a close. You can just stop and be done with it. If the testimonials are really good, just be done. And just say, okay, now it's time to turn to the person who invited you down, and you're going to give them the 1, 2, 3 close, which we talk about in the blog post. But basically, you're, number 1, or number 3 is somebody who's totally not into this. Is totally does not speak to you in any way. You're not interested. You don't even want to try the product. Nothing. You just want to get out of here as quick as you can. Great. We want to say thank you for showing up and spending a couple minutes with us today. Number 2 is, hey, I really don't think I can do the business. I've got a lot of questions. I want to try that product first. Maybe you're kind of lukewarm about what we're doing. that's awesome. Stick around. We want to talk to you a little bit. And then number one is who we're looking for. Is this, you know what? I've seen the success stories that are happening around here. I want a piece of this. I'm ready to do it. Let's go to work. So we're looking for number one. So if you're a number one or a two, please connect with the person that invited you down. If you're number three, thank you so much for coming. Have a great evening. And that's it. You're done, right? Don't drag it on with, you know, upcoming events or anything else. And also another big trick that I didn't put on here, if you have an expert that's doing your presentation for you, and maybe you're hosting the presentation at your house or in whatever, and you bring an expert in to do your presentation, and they finish up the presentation, do not get on stage after that person. Once that person is done, that is the end of the presentation. The expert closes the event, period. You do not get up to give instructions. You do not have to give up to, hey, we've got some, you know, some lemonade in the back. Nothing. You're done. You turn to the person that invited you, and this is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow or next week in the closing section, is at this point is about closing. It is not about going and looking at the products. It's not about, you know, going and getting some lemonade or whatever. It's nothing like that. It's about asking the closing question. And if you've done the first three steps properly, this part is actually pretty easy. And we'll go all through all that next week in our closing webinar as well. So more information about this, if you want to learn from the master. I thought I had my CD, I guess I don't. But this particular CD, Presentation Success System, 2 full CDs, just tons of great information from Dani herself. A lot of stuff we talked about today that I learned directly from Dani is what we're sharing with you. This particular training product is core to what you should have in your arsenal. It's, I think, $49, something like that. It's crazy cheap. And you can go over to smarternetworker.com and hit the product page there and get that information or get that, you can order those products over there. All right, so what I want to do here is to take a look at questions you might have. And a lot of you guys, if you guys have any questions, that's it. And 31 seconds, so I'm going to throw on my 31 seconds. Awesome, but I didn't catch the question there. Okay, can only see you, no pics. Huh, interesting. Hope that has love the baby story. This one with my mom has been at 39. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I just got home from a long doctor's appointment and just was able to jump on, but it's the last 53 minutes. Can I get a replay, please? Yes, you'll get a replay in your inbox in about an hour or so after we process it. Yes, there will be a replay, Nikki. During the home. What about a product during the home presentation? Okay or not? Like, I'm assuming what Steve is asking is, is it okay to give samples out? And my answer to that is yes, if one of two things happens with the samples. They either taste great or smell great. If you're in an oils company or a candle company or a skincare company or something like that, and the product just has this awesome smell, like experience to it. Maybe you're in a nutrition company and you've got, you know, a juice or a shake or something that just tastes awesome. Yes, hand out some samples quickly, super small, have them ready to go ahead of time, or just pass around a little sample people can rub on the skin or something like that. Yes. Use samples, but make sure that they taste great or smell great or something. The other way you would give a sample is if it's going to give them a result in the next 10 minutes. So if you've got an energy product, for example, and like we did this in a presentation we did where we had an energy product that you tasted really good, but within 10 minutes you felt it and you felt great. And so we would do that in the product segment. So in the middle of the presentation, everybody's looking around and go, wow, I feel fantastic. So that's definitely, there's times when they can be really good like that. If your product does not have those kinds of results, and it doesn't mean it's a bad product, some products just don't do that, then I would recommend not doing samples during the product. And they can be expensive too, so whatever you're thinking on that. All right, do you make the announcement at the beginning, Leslie? Yeah, maybe. Again, your event is a business presentation. So if you were going to be interviewed at let's say, Dell Computers, would they make announcements about the company picnic coming up? Probably not. So, whatever is most important for that thing, if you have, if you want to have a team meeting beforehand, that's fine, but I would get all that stuff done ahead of time. But there's other ways to get that information out too, via email or in your Facebook group or whatever. It doesn't have to be at a presentation. So, thinking about what you're doing, and everything you do needs to have a result of getting somebody signed up or moving in their business. All right. Sorry, President. The product video during the home present didn't catch that question. Will the edification script for the expert be on the blog? We have a whole training. So for edification training, the script book bundle comes with a full hour-long audio on just edification in the bonus section. And I wish I could do this quickly. I'm not going to even try, but if you go to Smarter Networker and you've purchased your script book bundle there, we have a whole new website, and go check it out because there's some great places you can grab some information. And if you did buy your script book bundle from us, you can log in, and there's like 9-10 hours of training on how to use the scripts. There's a whole section on edification in there that comes as part of the script book bundle, so you can get all that over there. If it's also available in the pro member content as well. So if you're a pro member with Smarter Networker, there's a whole audio in there on edification as well. So some good stuff there. All right, does the CD DVD presentation success system have the training described that you can use words for closing? Yes, there's also prospecting, close your way to millions. There's a bunch of other products as well that are more focused on actual closing, if that's something that's important to you. There's other products that are more designed for this. This is more about, she definitely talks about closing in this, but it's more about the actual presentation and making that presentation be super effective. A lot of the stuff we talked about today are in there, but done in Dani's way, which is always a million times better. All right, let's see. No pics. I'm surprised nobody can see the pictures. All right, love the baby story. Okay, I saw that. Okay. Let's see. Wow, folks from South Africa, from Canada, North Carolina, all over the U.S. Fantastic. Thanks, you guys, for being here. I think that's all the questions. Let me go down here. How about a nutrition meeting? Well, nutrition's, that's how I built my business, was in the nutrition world. Testimonials on a lot of things. I wasn't in it for weight loss, but I was in it for sports performance and energy, and that's what I used with my testimonial was about. Nutrition is fantastic because it's got so many great testimonials. And I think that is everybody. So it is an interview. Absolutely, it's an interview. Everything you do until that person signs up is an interview. Everything after that is involvement to help them upgrade their mindset. So yes, you're definitely interviewing everybody, and if you look at it from that point of view, you are in control of that meeting in that way. Edification content only with recent purchases of script book bundles. Now in the last, 4 or 5 years, Smarter Networker's been around. We've included that. If you bought it over at DaniJohnson.com, you can access it from that members area. So in the last 4 or 5 years, and before that over at DJC. So, no, shouldn't be a problem. If you have questions about that, just connect with us on our website on the Contact Us button, and we will go from there. Yeah, so hopefully you guys, if you have any further questions, I'm always available via email. You can always just hit me up at brian@smarternetworker.com. Better yet, go on over to Project 1000, which is our Facebook group, and post questions in there underneath the little post we did in there about this particular event. That's a great place to do it because everybody gets to see the answers, and it helps a lot of people by doing it that way. So hopefully that was good for you guys. And then also, if you go on over to smarternetworker.com and find the presentation success system, you'll actually have to log in to get this, but if you log into your members area, and it's free to do all this. So if you're not yet registered at Smarter Networker, just go to smarternetworker.com, get registered. All we require is your email address, and that will get you a login information to get into the members area. When you get there, go to the product section and then go click on the more information about the presentation success system. In there's actually some sample audio that you can hear Dani doing a lot of this training, and it's so good. So anyway, it's a powerful tool. It's definitely a learned skill. So if it's something that you don't feel confident about or you want to get better at, because believe me, if you look at the guys that are on stage, if you look at the people making $10, $20, $50, $100,000 a month in your company, I guarantee every one of them can do a good presentation. They may not be awesome, they may not be fantastic speakers, they may not be, super engaging, they're not, rock star presenters like a Dani Johnson, for example. That's totally fine. In fact, it's better that you're not that good because people can relate with you better that way. If you're so polished and so good and motivational and exciting and all that, that can be a detriment because people say, man, I can totally see why Dani could be successful at this business, but I don't think I could ever do what she does. And you're probably right, but that's not going to stop you from being successful. In fact, an unpolished, fumbling presentation can be just as powerful as a perfect presentation if you use lots and lots and lots of good stories, and that will overcome all the problems you might have. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you had a good time, and we will be sending out the replay on this very soon, and you'll be able to grab a hold of that. And in the meantime, go on over to Smarter Networker and check out all of the resources we've got for you over there, from the free 30-day boot camp, our blog, which the link to that will be in the email we send you, but you can also access it from the website. Just tons of great stuff in there. All the other webinars we've done are listed in the members content area over the What's Working section. And then also our Monday night calls are there, recordings from those. I mean, just so much stuff. So get on over to smarternetworker.com and get plugged in. And if you've got questions, hit us up over on Project 1000 so we can help a lot of people with the answers and everything. So thank you guys so much. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.